It's a time when the Prime Minister of this country should stand up and speak for 140 crore people. It's a time when he has to say that we are an independent, sovereign country. And I'll tell you, Operation Sindoor, which has been celebrated by the government, is to cover up, camouflage its failure and mishandling of the situation. This discussion in Parliament on Operation Sindoor demonstrated what has actually happened on our foreign policy front. Serious dilution and serious isolation. The cardinal principle of autonomy of Parliament has been throttled, breached by Modi government.
Hello and welcome to Left Lens. Today we have Comrade John Brittas with us, who is a member of the Parliament and the Rajya Sabha. The Parliament is in session currently, and we will discuss with him certain issues that are very important as far as the future of the country is concerned. Comrade, we're glad to have you with us. Welcome to Left Lens.
Thank you very much.
As you know, just the other day, Trump has declared tariffs, and now not just 25%, he's hiked it up to 50%. What do you think the response of the government should be? And how are you planning to take this up on the floor of the House?
It's a serious issue because my friend Trump has done this to India. And there are 2-3 parts to this question. First is that, can a country like United States behave in this manner to a sovereign country like India? Second thing, so the same United States which have been exhorting for multilateral mechanism for such areas, now they think that they need to up the tariff so that their business is protected. They have been blaming all other countries of adopting protectionist measures. And the third thing is that, which you rightly said, the stand of the Indian government. See, which I would call it slavish. We have been trying to tell Modi, see, even a comedian turned president, Zelensky, had the guts to speak. And that too in White House, sitting with him on his face, that you are a mutton head. That is a translation of what he said. Here is a prime minister who claims to be the head of the government of the largest democracy, in comma, that he claims so, and he doesn't have the guts to speak out. He enters, say, the foreign department spokesperson, or at the maximum, the foreign minister. It's a time when the Prime Minister of this country should stand up and speak for 140 crore people. It's a time when he has to say that we are an independent, sovereign country. Otherwise, these people will not forgive you, because it's a hard-earned freedom which we have. We cannot surrender at the feet of a, I would say, clown called Trump.
You're mentioning that the Prime Minister should speak up. It is very interesting because just like an external issue like tariffs, on an internal issue, which also has external ramifications, Operation Sindoor, because of the constant pressure exerted by the opposition and especially the communist parties, there has been a discussion, so-called discussion in the House. But the Prime Minister's absence was noted.
Yeah, Prime Minister was present in Lok Sabha, but as you rightly said, he didn't come to Rajya Sabha, and moreover, he was virtually absent when the discussions took place.
Yes.
He came at the fag end just to respond to it. Now, that is his style. He doesn't listen to anything. He doesn't hear anything. He only speaks. And here is a Prime Minister who hasn't addressed the press for last 11 years. He has the record on that.
Yes.
Not even a single Prime Minister before him did such, I would say, authoritarian attitude. They all met the press, interacted with the press. I used to travel with Prime Ministers, including Manmohan Singh. He was addressed as Manmohan Singh. This very Modi castigated him as Manmohan Singh. So one day when Prime Minister was said, I said, you had rebuked him, you had actually ridiculed him by saying that Manmohan Singh, but you are the most, inverted commas, silent Prime Minister when it comes to questions. And Operation Sindoor, I can tell you very well, there was a narrative created by the government with the help of the Godi media, which I call the Modia. because the E has been taken out and O has been kept in. So it's a media no longer exists, it's a Modi exists here. But when we had a discussion on the floor of the parliament, at least a narrative has gone down to the people that here is a government which miserably failed to protect the life and livelihood of the people. 26 innocent people lost their lives. And nobody came forward to take the responsibility. And I can just quote you what I spoke in the parliament. I said, look, a person called Shivaraj Patil, he had the moral standard to resign in the aftermath of Mumbai terrorist attack. And Mr. Amit Shah, you claim to be the second Sardar Patel. The history will judge you as somebody who is inferior to Shivraj Patil because you don't have the moral courage to put in your purpose. And I'll tell you, Operation Sindoor, which has been celebrated by the government, is to cover up, camouflage its failure and mishandling of the situation. The intelligence, security failure that has happened. I vividly recollect the speech of the Home Minister in Rajya Sabha during the last budget session, wherein he said, it's very interesting. We were trying to interrupt. I had asked a question, then he got up and said that. Here is a government which is committed to make sure that India is safe. If a terrorist lands up in our territory, we will, he used I will, that's what he said. I will shoot between his eyebrows. ये eyebrows का ये बीच में तो मैं गोली लगा देगा. So this time we were asking him, those 4 terrorists who just got into our territory, had they shaved off their eyebrows? Did they come without an eyebrow? What happened to them? So this is the drama which they create. At least this discussion in Parliament on Operation Sindoor demonstrated what has actually happened. On our foreign policy front, serious dilution and serious isolation. India is isolated. I was part of the outreach in Japan, Korea, everywhere. Everybody is asking, what has happened to India? You are the leader of the non-alignment movement. Now you are isolated. Do you have one single neighbor who trusts you? That was the question which came to me. I told on the floor of the house. These are the questions we faced. So at least we got an opportunity to partially expose the so-called dubious game plan of this government.
So the government as such has not been able to clarify their position on this issue. And in fact, they have been further exposed in the parliament. Now, speaking of being exposed in the parliament, recently there was this issue that came up, almost a sort of war of words between the leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha and the deputy chairman on CISF inside the floor of the house. What essentially was this issue all about?
See, I can tell you, I think this is a very, very important question which needs to be addressed from the historical perspective. Vittalbhai Patel, he was the council chairman, maybe the speaker, let us put it like that, during the British period. Me being a student of political science, I clearly recollect studying about those times. When he wrote to the British, saying that is 1930s,
Yes.
when we were still a colony of Britain, he said the sanctity of the parliament, the sanctity of the autonomy of the parliament is important. You cannot depute any government officer to parliament because it breaches the autonomy of the Indian parliament or council. Now, the security has been taken over by Amit Shah, CSF.
Is under the Home Ministry.
It means Amit Shah, nothing else. Second, the autonomy of the Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, Secretariat have been hijacked. All senior officers of this Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha Secretariat are deputed from the government of India. That means the executive have control over the parliament, whereas it is a duty of the parliament to make sure that executive is accountable to parliament. See the, I would say the farce that is being played out. So I had a discussion with the leader of opposition. I told him the issue is beyond CSF. The issue, the larger issue is the autonomy of the parliament. Once the autonomy of the parliament is breached, and there is no purpose of having a parliamentary democracy. So, more than the CSF issue, as you rightly said, it's a manifestation of the disease
Yes.
that has happened now. But apart from that, the cardinal principle of autonomy of parliament has been throttled, breached by Modi government.
In a way, the lines that mark checks and balances between the executive, legislative, judiciary, these lines are being blurred as we are seeing now.
Not only blurred, it has been completely merged. That's what I would say. It's merged now. If executive means parliament, parliament means executive. So that line has completely evaporated.
So the parliament, as you have mentioned now, it seems the government, the executive is taking over. Over the last 4 years in the Rajya Sabha, how have you seen the government's attitude towards the parliament itself, to its committees and so on?
See, I'll tell you because for an average viewer, the statistics makes a lot of importance. Earlier, a bill coming to the floor of the House, 70%, 75% of the bills were to be referred to the standing committee. Suppose, say, I am Ministry of External Affairs. I used to be part of the Ministry of IT and Information Broadcasting. But all the main bills like telecom bill, digital data protection bill were not referred to the standing committee. So from 75%, now it has come down to say 15%.
Oh.
Now hardly only 15% of bills are being referred to standing committee. See why they are skeptic in transferring to standing committee. Standing committee is an in-camera operation. Whether you are from the ruling party or the opposition party, once you are in the committee, you have a bounded responsibility to be much more neutral, much more neutral. So if I point out an aberration in the bill, which is anti-people, which may not gel well with the existing situation, other people also will, of course, reluctantly agree with that. The government doesn't want that. So a system that was brought forward is completely, neglected or rather taken out of the loop. And second statistics, I will say, the extent of time the Prime Minister of this country spends in Parliament. One day I narrated the statistics, it would be 0.001%. This is a parliament where prime ministers who are supposed to be having a much more illustrious career and, of course, sacrifice like Jawaharlal Nehru used to spend hours and hours. I even recollect reading a book on Jawaharlal Nehru and Parliament where he exhorts the speaker, "Sir, please permit the opposition members to speak more because I want to know what is happening in this country. My party men may not be speaking the truth. The Prime Minister of India is asking the Speaker and the Rajya Sabha chairman to give more time to the opposition than being allocated to them because I want to know what is the reality." From there to this, it's a long distance this country has traveled.
So when you talk about the parliament being taken so non-seriously, the other side of that is that, which is also related to the first question that we discussed. See, tariff and all that. Alongside, there are discussions of agreements. We have seen with agreements like ASEAN how states have been affected, but states were never asked their opinion, they were never consulted. Right now, with the parliament, all these talks are going on. The parliament is not being privy to any of what is happening from the government's end. How do you look at this?
See, one important aspect is ASEAN treaty was signed when Congress was in power. At that time, the left, especially our party, CPM, has been very vocal saying that such free trade treaties shouldn't be signed, neglecting the state governments, neglecting core sectors. In Kerala, as such, we had serious problem with regard to our cash crops, especially rubber and so on. See, the rubber price plummeted, stagnated. Every year, Kerala farmers would have lost something like 5,000, 6,000 crores. Just calculate that. The immense damage that created to the people of Kerala and many other states. And I was part of the Commerce Committee. I made it a point that any treaty, bilateral, free trade, collaborative treaty should be signed after taking states into confidence. Now we have signed a deal with the UK. You are going to sign a deal with, say, European Union. You are going to US. We have this. Who are the stakeholders? The central government is not answerable to the people of India as such because they are operating from Delhi. It's a huge apparatus. It's like a power without responsibility. I can tell you what. See, those people who are grounded, who are answerable immediately to the people of state governments. And unless you get a feedback from the state governments, how are you going to deal with a situation like that? I've been always telling them, even foreign policy, leave apart the agreements. See, people from Kerala, I'll tell you in Gulf itself, 35 to 40 lakh people are there. 4 million people, almost. And when you make laws and legislations and some sort of arrangements with foreign governments, unless you look at the people who are from there, how are you going to take a decision? So it's a haphazard, attitude of government of India, which I won't blame the BJP alone because Congress were the torchbearers of such unilateral decisions. We were discussing Indian Ocean strategy. Then I was telling the other day in the Parliament committee, how are we going to discuss the strategy in Indian Ocean unless the coastal states are being taken into confidence? Coastal states have got serious issues. So unless you bring those states into the discussion, the vortex of discussion, see, you are not going to have a clear perspective on such issues. You are absolutely correct. Such deals, bilaterals, trilaterals, group laterals, multilaterals need to be signed only after taking the stakeholders, and there the stakeholder called the state is very much important.
You use the word the haphazard approach of the government. We are seeing that haphazard approach with regard to the implementation of the SIR exercise in Bihar, which is expected to be carried out for the rest of the country too. Almost the entire opposition seems to be against it, but still the government is refusing to discuss this in the House. You were part of the delegation of the CPIM that attended the meeting with the ECI also. So I ask, how do you see this fanning out over the next few months?
I was part of the delegation, and the Chief Election Commissioner Ganesh Kumar. I know him very well because he used to be in the Kerala cadre.
Yes.
So I asked Ganeshji, he knows me. So I told him, Ganeshji, you know Kerala very well. Think about bringing this rule, thumb rule in Kerala, that your ration card will not be permitted, your EC card will not be permitted, your Aadhaar will not be permitted. I can tell you, even I will have a difficulty in producing these documents in 1 month's time. I asked him, don't you think even a state like Kerala, which is supposed to be much more enlightened and having a literacy education level, which is superior to many other northern states, even much of the people in Kerala will find it extremely cumbersome to produce those documents. I don't know where is my matriculation. Honestly, I'm telling you. See, if you go to a house in Kerala, ask them for some document, they will have, say, EC document, Aadhaar, or a ration card. And if this is the plight of a Malayali, what could be the status of a Bihari? I asked him. He was giggling. I told Ganesh, you answer because you know me well, I know you well. That's why I'm asking this question. So this is the reality. But I'll tell you one, there is a diabolic game. Diabolic game is that yesterday, while I was interacting with a few people, I told them, see, earlier used to sabotage those opposition governments. If an opposition comes to power, where it is in Maharashtra or anywhere, you sabotage that. You do horse trading, you take them, buy them, purchase them, charter them, or take them to some picnic areas. All those things happen. And resorts become the sanctum sanctum of democracy under BJP. But they found an easy route now. Spike the voters list, manipulate it, adulterate it, push people out of that. So it's the easiest way. And in democracy, if you don't have a foolproof voters list, then the cornerstone of the democracy is shaken. So the very essence of democracy is questioned. It's not the question of whether, few people are taken in or out. It's a question of the sanctity of democracy. So, sir, is a diabolic game, well thought out by the RSS to make sure that large sections of people, especially from Dalits, backward minorities, are disenfranchised.
When you talk of the diabolic game, there was equally diabolic game panning out, which we saw in Chhattisgarh. You went there. Can you explain what the experience was like for the nuns and for you as someone who went there and saw what they were facing?
I have been to Chhattisgarh earlier also, to many northern states. Uh, Somebody asked me, some local press in Chhattisgarh asked me, why are you so particular that you came to Chhattisgarh? I said, not Chhattisgarh. I have been going everywhere. I went to Manipur. I went to Kashmir. I went to UP. And it's not the question of nuns, I told them. It's not the question of Catholic Church. It's a question of the Constitution. It's not two nuns who were jailed.
There was an
It was the Indian Constitution that was jailed there. So primarily I went for the task of releasing the Indian Constitution from the jail, not for Catholic Church. And Chhattisgarh has the history of maximum attacks against the minorities, especially Christians after Uttar Pradesh. And there is a rhythm in it, I can tell you. If you check all these anti-conversion laws that have come, see, it's harsher than UAP. It's harsher than UAP. And the onus of proving something comes to these hapless people. And Narayanpur, I know at that time, 2022, 2023, so there was a massive attack, assault against the Christian minority. Hundreds of their churches were burnt, houses were burnt. So Chhattisgarh has been always lingering on with these assaults. So nuns was, I would say, the case of maybe a part of the entire game, that is larger picture, and it's not the picture. It doesn't end there. Now, one more thing which we are oblivious about the fact is that this nuns case implicated, see, conversion, second, human trafficking, it's referred to the NIA. So that's all the more serious. They have made it a point that hereafter, any case concerning that category would be dealt with NIA, essentially anti-national activities. So, though the nuns were discharged on bail, but the case still there, and it underscores the fact that the government of Chhattisgarh and central government wants serious assault on the rights of the minorities. And think about, say, two nuns doing human trafficking. They're grown up adult people. Look at the constitutional provision, Article 25, 26, 16, whatever may be there. You take any of these provisions. My right to travel across the country for an employment is being curtailed. I'm an adult. Even my right to, pick up my dwelling place is curtailed. If 35 lakhs people in Kerala are migrant labor, so tomorrow will they implicate all these 35 as part of people who have been trafficked there? It's sheer nonsense that is happening.
The session of the Parliament is scheduled to go until the 21st of August. I can say we've passed the halfway mark. Over the next 1 week or so, how do you think the India bloc is going to take up some of these serious issues that we really need answers for?
We wish that other issues like tariff, people's issues, labor's issues, working class issues, peasants' issues, issues of federalism are being taken up. But now we are stuck at a SIR because we feel that if you dilute our stand on SIR, that may bring down the steam on this because Bihar is on the brink of an election, and this SIR is just a sample in Bihar. It's going to be implemented elsewhere too, in Bengal too. So we decided that at the cost of, say, not raising many other issues, we should concentrate on this. But this have got its fallouts also because of this standstill and disruption, we are unable to raise other issues. But if the essence of democracy is lost, the very premise of democracy, like the voters list, is being adulterated, then what is the purpose of discussing that? So we thought that we will zero down to this topic, and it is not alone India Alliance, but all the opposition parties. I would say from left to TMC, from up to Congress. So diametrically opposite in political positioning and also ideology, we have come together to salvage or at least resist the attempts of the government of India and the election commission, so that our democracy is saved.
All right, comrade, all the best with that. Thank you for joining us on Left List.
Thank you very much.